Last week was the start of a series all about some of my favorite Daniel Smith watercolors. 8 of them from the Primatech collection that are made from minerals, and 2 from the Duochrome luminescent collection that has a lot of cool shimmer and sparkle in them. Today I'm going to mix the colors with buff titanium. Buff titanium is an interesting color because it can create really creamy colors that are a bit more opaque, kind of similar to gouache without having to buy a bunch of gouache colors. Instead, you just buy one buff titanium and start to mix it into the other colors you have and just play around with how opaque it can get, how light and dark it can get. I'm going to swatch some that are more color and some that are more of the buff titanium just to see what happens. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel to catch new videos that come out every Tuesday. Comment below with questions or to tell me about your favorite colors that I should try. Here are the swatches from last week's video. I did the rectangle gradients, so dark to light in one rectangle. This week I have another sheet with the same chart, but I'm going to mix each color with buff titanium, which gives them a really creamy quality, almost gouache-like. They get more opaque and create these beautiful pastels. Instead of doing the rectangles with this one, I'm gonna do 2 circles. One will have more of the color in it. So this first one is burnt bronzite genuine. So I'm gonna make more of the color for the first circle and then more of the buff titanium in the second circle, so we can get an idea of the different variations we can have when we paint with this mixture. So you can already see how light that is. It's such a pretty pastel brown. Let me add a bit more buff titanium and see how it looks next to that. It's a really pretty neutral. It almost has a gray tint to it, like a grayish brown. So that can be used for a lot of different things in painting. Next, we'll try the Serpentine genuine. Let me get more water. It's always playing around with how much water you have, how much color you have. It's never a perfect mix on the first shot, and that is perfectly fine. So this one has a lot of the buff titanium in it, so I'm doing the second circle first. It's kind of an olive, like a light pastel olive green. Let me add more serpentine to see how it looks with a bit more green in it. It's such a pretty color. I could see so many floral paintings with that color as some of the leaves. Let's see what the Bloodstone genuine looks like with buff titanium in it. Just play around with your mixes until you feel like you have a color that you want to try. So this is pretty dark, but with the buff titanium in it, you can see how it's lightened up. It still granulates in a really beautiful way. Kind of looks like the moon with all those little craters in it. Let's mix in some more buff titanium. It's a beautiful gray. I don't paint with typical pastel colors very often, but the way that these are kind of creamy, earthy pastels, it makes me want to paint with them even more than other pastel colors. Like in my work, you don't see much pink or like sky blue or sometimes mint. Mint is probably the most pastel-like color I use. Okay, back to my favorite, the Mayan Blue Genuine, mixed with the buff titanium is this creamy teal, almost like a dark teal. It's so pretty. And because it's my favorite, I will, of course, use it in something. Which is why it's good to have these swatch cards, because sometimes, I mean, you can see all the colors I have just today, but this is years worth of collecting paint. And when I first started, I didn't have this many colors, and so having the swatches available helped me figure out which colors would mix well with others and give me an idea of where I wanted to start. So this one's interesting because even more buff titanium gives it a more of a greenish tint. And I did not know that was going to happen. So that's a really pretty color that is unusual and different from any of the other ones. Another reason why swatching is so good to have. You can make a whole sketchbook just of your color swatches. And then when you're feeling stuck, you can flip through and see which colors are speaking to you that day. Here's the green apatite, and mixed with the buff titanium, it's another like a light olive naturey green. That's not even a word, is it? Add some more buff titanium and see. I think this is going to be a bit more brown. So it's interesting to see what the buff titanium does to the colors. Yeah, this is even more of an olive green with a brownish tint in it, and that's beautiful. I will definitely use that in a painting. So right there, the green apatite and the Mayan blue with more buff titanium in them are such pretty colors that I didn't know I was going to get, because it kind of changed the look of the original color a bit. So next is the Sugarite Genuine. This one with the buff titanium in it looks very close to the Bloodstone. That's interesting. As you're swatching, remember that your circles don't have to be perfect. They don't even have to be circles. Just, you know, do whatever shape you want. You can have triangles, a flower, crescent moons, whatever you want. So adding more buff titanium to this didn't change it too much, because it's slightly more of a brownish gray instead of a purplish gray. Let's see, I have my fuchshite genuine next. That's my pretty teal color. Let's see what happens. Kind of made it like a sea green, like a, yeah, that's really beautiful. I would definitely use that color in something. Let's see what it does when I add more buff titanium to it. Even more of a green. That's so interesting, because this is a teal color, but now with the buff titanium mixed in it, it looks green. And it's different than all of the other greens we swatched. Okay, let's see. Rhodonite Genuine. This is my magenta color. Ooh, it makes a really nice pink. A pink that I might actually use. I know I just said I don't paint with pink much, but sometimes if it's the right kind of pink, it can be really nice. And this is a very earthy pink color. Let's see what we get when we add more buff titanium. Adds a bit of like a peachy hue to it. That would be interesting to paint with too. All right, let's see what the duochrome colors do with buff titanium in them. First up is the duochrome Autumn Mystery. It's a pretty light brown. Adds a little bit more creaminess to the color. Let's see when I add more buff titanium. They're pretty similar, actually. That one has a touch of a gray in it with the extra buff titanium. So if you need neutral colors, that could be a good way to go. And then the duochrome aquamarine, that's my other teal. Let's see if that one turns out greenish with the buff titanium mixed in, kind of like the fuchsite. Let's see what happens. Okay, that one stayed pretty blue. Has a slight greenish. It's very similar to what the fuchsite did. Let's see if I add more. Yep, still similar to the fuchsite. So, see, when you're collecting colors, I always found it helpful to watch other people swatch because you can determine which colors you might want to try and which ones are so similar that you don't need both of them. So, I hope that you liked seeing these swatches, and I hope you're trying them out for yourself. Here is the original colors compared to the pastel colors in with buff titanium mixed in. You can definitely tell the difference. And they're both beautiful in their own way. So have fun experimenting. Let me know which one is your favorite color, or if you have a favorite that I didn't swatch here. I would love to hear what your favorites are. Just comment below. Thanks for joining me today. I'm all about helping you grow your own creative practice full of peace, intention, and curious exploration. Find out more when you visit jenfletcherart.com. I'll see you soon.